For decades, fans have celebrated the harmonies of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young as the pinnacle of 1960s and 70s folk rock, the voices of a generation, the soundtrack to protests, love, and revolution. But behind the perfect chords and iconic festival appearances, there was tension, ego, and personal drama that nearly destroyed one of rock's most legendary ensembles. And now, for the first time, Neil Young's ex-wife has stepped forward to reveal the truth about what really tore the band apart. When Crosby, Stills and Nash first formed in 1968, the chemistry was undeniable. David Crosby, Stephen Stills, and Graham Nash brought their voices together like magic, and then Neil Young joined the mix, injecting a raw, unpredictable energy that both elevated the group and made it combustible. On stage, they seemed unstoppable. Their harmonies were flawless, their songs timeless. But backstage, the dynamics were anything but harmonious. Neil Young, known for his uncompromising vision and relentless drive, often clashed with the others over musical direction, songwriting credits, and the intensity of touring schedules. And while fans speculated about creative differences, the truth, as his ex-wife reveals, was far more personal. The story begins with Neil's private life colliding with the band's public one. His relationships, especially his marriage, added an emotional weight that few outsiders could see. Tensions between Neil and the other members were exacerbated by jealousy, mistrust, and personal grievances that festered over years of late-night studio sessions and grueling tours. According to his ex-wife, Neil's perfectionism, combined with bouts of impulsiveness, created an atmosphere where even small disagreements could spiral into full-blown conflicts. She described nights where band members argued for hours over arrangements, lyrics, or solos, only for Neil to storm out in frustration, leaving the others to wonder if he would ever return. At the heart of the breakdown, she says, was a fundamental clash of personalities. Stills' intensity, Crosby's ego, Nash's diplomacy, and Young's unpredictability created a volatile mix. What fans saw as artistic tension was, in reality, a pressure cooker of unresolved personal issues, rivalries, and hurt feelings that built up over time. And then came the tipping point. Recording sessions that should have been creative laboratories instead turned into battlegrounds. Words were exchanged, accusations thrown, and egos bruised. Neil, in particular, struggled to reconcile his personal frustrations with the demands of collaboration, and his ex-wife says that this tension bled directly into the music and decision-making of the band. The cracks were visible in cancelled shows, delayed albums, and public statements that hinted at disunity. The personal conflicts couldn't be ignored any longer. According to her account, one particularly explosive argument over songwriting credits and creative control became the final straw. It wasn't just about the music, it was about respect, trust, and the feeling that compromises had been made at the expense of personal boundaries. From that point, the fractures in the band widened, leading to Neil's temporary departures and the eventual splintering of the group. Yet, her revelations go deeper than professional disagreements. She paints a picture of Neil as a man torn between his loyalty to the band and the demands of his own life, a husband, a father, and an artist who felt perpetually misunderstood. The band, for all its genius, became a mirror reflecting not only their collective brilliance but also their individual vulnerabilities, fears, and insecurities. Fans rarely saw that side of Neil Young, the human behind the icon. His ex-wife's testimony adds layers of context to the public record, showing that the band's dissolution wasn't merely about musical clashes, it was about the intersection of creativity, ego, personal history, and emotional fatigue. It reframes the narrative of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young from legendary harmony to a story of fragile human relationships stretched to the limit by fame, expectations, and passion. Today, decades later, the music endures, but the story behind it now has a new depth. Neil Young's ex-wife's candid account reminds us that even the most celebrated bands are made up of people with hearts, fears, and flaws, and that sometimes, genius comes at the cost of personal peace. For fans and historians alike, her revelations shed light on what truly ended Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, not drugs, not ego alone, not external pressures, but the complicated, intimate, and often painful realities of being human while creating art that touches millions. And in that truth, the legend becomes even more human, more relatable, and in a strange way, more inspiring, showing that the bonds of music can endure even when the people behind it are fractured, conflicted, and forever changed by the very art they helped create.